Hello and welcome to Up Dog Sports Talk. We are continuing our very fun conference preview series today with the American Conference. I did not throw athletic in there. New conference name, new mascot, and we are joined by a special guest. Omar has returned to the show. Omar, it's great to have you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I should mention that this time the internet router's in the living room, so hopefully I don't plug that out like, like the draft day stuff.
The router is safe. You won't knock it out this time.
Nope, not this time.
Awesome. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll kind of go through this preview, kind of going through the championship contenders and all the other tiers that we kind of see for this conference. Here at Updog, we love to talk about everybody, and that's why, we're excited to talk about the American here, top to bottom. This is a very fun league. It's going to have a lot of fun offenses this year, and this is why it's a league to watch. So we'll kind of pull this up here. So when we look at the championship contenders tier here, for one, other than the fact that there's a lot of teams listed in this tier, 8 of them, which surprises you the most, Omar?
So I'll be honest, I think North Texas surprises me the most in this tier, in the championship contenders tier, because the last 2 years, the thing is like North Texas will score 1,000,000 points on you, but they'll also allow 1,000,000 points as well. And so that's been kind of the obstacle for me, like the mental block is like, okay, it's a defense for real, like because yes, North Texas, they'll bring in transfer quarterbacks. They have a deep quarterback room. Reese Poppenbarger for Albany is finally getting his FBS shot. But the defense, I'm looking at my Phil Steele, my underlined Phil Steele copy, and like says there's 9 returning starters, which should help. But it's like, will these guys actually, make a difference? And they improved. They improved from 2023 to 2024, about a 2 point per game improvement and a 15-yard improvement. But I mean, you just look at some of the games that North Texas like had last year, like on defense, and you wonder like, are these guys able to stop anyway? Because they can. I mean, they I guess they allowed 52 against Memphis last year. They don't have Memphis this year, but Owen McCown's gonna bring it. Owen McCown's gonna have a good year. They play UTSA this year. I mean, they did great against Army, but Army also had their opportunities against North Texas and came away without points, and they also had the iconic like 24 play drive that everyone keeps.
Very iconic. We love that drive here.
Yeah, everyone keeps reposting the drive, the Army drive, and so like that's kind of a big question for me. I of course think North Texas is going to make a bowl this year. There's no doubt in my mind that they will. But my thing is like, will the defense lift them over Temple? They do avoid. I mean, I will say they do avoid Tulane and Memphis, which is a good thing. But at the same time, you have Navy, you have everyone's preseason darling Navy, and you have USF with Byron Brown back on the schedule, and the same thing with UTSA, like with I almost said Josh McCown, Owen McCown, um, at quarterback. So North Texas surprises me the most.
Yeah, yeah, that's a team that I end up putting up here because I'm actually a little bit optimistic about the defense a little bit. Here's why. They have a new defensive coordinator coming in, Cassidy over from Sam Houston. So obviously, Sam Houston had a really good defense last year. And not only that, but to help boost that defense and kind of set the tone, he brought a player over from Sam Houston from every level of defense, defensive line, linebacker, and secondary. So I like that move. And I think at the very least, like North Texas offense has been so good. Their defense just needs to be good at something. Like there just has to be something they excel at, whether that's, you know, pressuring quarterbacks or forcing turnovers. Like just if they just find one skill, you're able to turn a lot of games around. But also, you mentioned the Army game. The other thing that North Texas has to be careful of is they need to make sure they finish drives because, I mean, the Army game is obviously the worst example of that, where they didn't finish any of the drives most of that game. But definitely being able to convert in those red zone situations will be a huge key for the Mean Green.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like especially like with Army and Navy too, Navy as well. Navy more so it has a more quick strike offense, but yeah, like the drives, the finishing drives is a great point, especially like on the fourth and goal one. Like I'll be honest, like I thought on third and goal when they got stopped at the one, I thought that was a touchdown. I was already kind of discouraged. So maybe the refs helped out the troops on that day.
Yeah, perhaps. um, but When you look at this list of teams, which one kind of has the biggest bust potential to you? Which one could potentially have a disappointing season?
I think the biggest bust potential is USF, and I hate to say that because USF has probably some of the most resources in the conference, or the biggest trove of resources in the conference. They have Byron Brown returning, and I feel like that's where a lot of this hype is coming from. Um, but if Byron Brown gets injured, like there's nothing wrong with Bryce Archie. I mean, he did well last year in relief, but he's just not the same type of quarterback. The same quarterback as Byron Brown is running the ball. Archie can run a bit, but I mean, if you look at it too, like kudos to USF for challenging themselves, but that is a very challenging opening stretch where they can start the season at 1-3, and they have South Carolina State in a bye week, but hopefully they're not beat up at that point, and you know maybe lose to Charlotte or lose to North Texas. Lose to North Texas, lose either of those two games because they're banged up. And not at full strength. So that's a team I think has a bust potential just because I think we're all waiting for USF after 2023. I mean, it's only I guess this is the second year since they broke their bowl drought, but we're all waiting for USF to really break through and join with Memphis and Tulane in the upper echelon of the conference. So I think USF has the biggest bust potential for those reasons.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the schedule is the huge one for sure because I mean we don't like to talk about a whole lot in the preseason, but momentum is a real thing in this sport. When you're staring at the potential, I mean, USF had to pull a major upset where they're starting 0-3. But what's the message going to be in the locker room at that point? How are the how's the team going to get ready and prepare for South Carolina State in those first conference games when you're 0-3 already and the season's gone off to a rough start like that? Like that that is going to be the big challenge for the Bulls. Now, if they can get past that or even pull an upset, then sure, we'll look at them having a really good year because there's a lot of talent in this team. And I mean, we'll need to see the defense take a step up too. But yeah, that was the team I kind of had in mind too. So we'll look at some of the other contenders. Let's start with your guys. Let's start with Army.
Okay. All right. So with Army, I'll be honest. Like, I'm the type of guy and I've been on the record saying I would rather be in a bowl game than play in the college football playoff. And now you have this on your podcast. Now you have this actually verbally and visually recorded. So honestly, I guess I'm a purist with college football. So I guess with my guys, this is me speaking as a homer rather than being an analyst. Like, if Army just makes a bowl game, preferably the Armed Forces Bowl, about 3 hours away from Fort Sill, Oklahoma. But I'll be happy. But I recognize that it's a tough year with a lot of turnover, and I think a year like this kind of reminds me of, maybe I guess in terms of Service Academy history, maybe like a 2005 Navy or a 2018 Army, which both years those teams exceeded expectations and had strong records. With Army even winning the Lambert Trophy in 2018, going 11-2. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen with Army this year, but you look at a lot of the pieces that they lost last year. Start with the offense. Bryson Daly, of course, big question mark. Aiden Reed, or sorry, Kanye Udo transferring to Arizona State. Good luck to him. What we have returning, we have guys that fit with the scheme. Like Noah Short was explosive last year. Hayden Reed showed out in the bowl game. He had a 100-yard game against UTSA. People forgot that, and he had another 100-yard game. The Independence Bowl showed the country that Army will be just fine at fullback. Defense returns a good amount of production. 5 starters, and you have guys that are experienced within the scheme and the schedule too. Like, I mean, it helps to avoid Memphis, to avoid USF in conference play, and have really the only tough games be UTSA, Tulane, Navy, even though it's technically not a conference game, and North Texas and East Carolina. East Carolina is tough for me. That's a team that scares me, which we'll talk about later. But I mean, I see Army just contending, but I don't see them winning the title. To be honest with you, I see them finishing with one or two conference losses. But I think the Black Knights will be just fine. I just don't know if they'll be good enough. to be 7-1 in the league and be in the mix. I think a 7-1 team will make the conference championship game. Will be probably an 8-0 versus a 7-1.
Yeah, I could see that as well. And yeah, Army definitely faces it's always a challenge for academy teams when they break in a new quarterback just because you never know how it's going to go. Like we saw Air Force really struggle with that a lot last year. So that will be a very interesting part. But I do agree. I see similar expectations for Army where I think they're going to be a good team. They still have really good players. And Jeff Monken's a really good coach. Coaching means a lot for these academies. And they've got a good one in Monken. So I don't expect Army to fall far, even if it's not making the conference championship. So you mentioned East Carolina. Let's go ahead and pivot to the Pirates. This is kind of a program on the rise a little bit. A little bit of an interesting year last year after firing their coach mid-year, and then everything just changed. They seem to have a new attitude, and they finished the season hot. So now as the hot team, are the Pirates ready to fully enter into American Conference Championship contention?
So I think they are, but I think the most of their one of their most important games of the season is kind of unfortunate because it comes after the BYU game. That's the Army game, and I'm not saying that because it's biased because the Army game I've cited as a trap game for the Black Knights because it's at it's at East Carolina. It's at East Carolina, Dowdy Ficklin. But for East Carolina, the downside is it comes 5 days after they play BYU at home, which will likely be an emotionally charged game, and maybe it'll be less of a challenge for ECU with Jake Retzloff being gone. But unfortunately, Jake Retzloff is not off East Carolina's schedule because he's playing on Tulane. So I guess some way or another, East Carolina has to deal with Jake Retzloff. But I think they are ready. I think ECU had a good transfer portal haul. I think, especially at quarterback, they have sorry, I can't read my own handwriting. Jordy Lowry, who had 6 interceptions at West Carolina. They have a couple breakout candidates in Yannick Smith and Anthony Smith, the Smith brothers. And I think the system too with Blake Harrell hiring within, Caton Hauser will have a full year under his belt at quarterback. I mean, we saw Rajai Harris have an amazing year at running back. Um, you know, Marlon Gunn returns having about I think 400 yards or so. So I don't think they're ready to be at the Memphis or Tulane level, but I think that this will be a bowl team again. And I just think in general as a program, it's just weird to say that they're a consistent bowl. I guess that I don't like Blake Harrell didn't make them a consistent bowl team, but I think that progression from Mike Houston, to Blake Harrell now has made ECU back to the consistent bowl team that can maybe make the conference championship game, perhaps even win it. Um, like they did in the old Conference USA, but of course Tulane and Memphis were down in those years. Now Tulane and Memphis are up, so I think we're kind of back to seeing early 2010s, late 2000s East Carolina, but I just don't know if they're ready to win the league yet.
Yeah, it is so great to have that East Carolina back because I feel like they've been kind of lost in the wilderness there for a little while. Pretty much ever since they fired oh man, how did I just forget his name?
Ruffin McNeil.
Ruffin McNeil. Ever since they fired Ruffin McNeil, it's been a long road for the Pirates, and it's great to see them back to playing at that high level. And they're exactly like what we're used to seeing from them. Like a very fun, offense that's going to throw the ball to the place. They've got receivers everywhere, and a good quarterback in Hauser. And then you look at the defensive side; they're aggressive. They try to get after the ball, force turnovers. It's going to be an interesting team, but yeah, I'm not sure if I'm ready to pick them as like the conference favorite. The schedule is going to be pretty tough, especially that non-conference. They got NC State as well, so that'll be kind of interesting. But I think in general, though, East Carolina is definitely going to play a factor this year. Um, let's go to Tulane. How about okay? The quarterback situation is just oh my.
All right. Yeah. So just had to flip to my notes for Tulane. So it's like the Tulane's. It's like Tulane became college football's answer to the Cleveland Browns. Just like a really weird quarterback room, really overstacked quarterback room for no reason. Let me X out this pop up on my computer. But I mean, I think it's pretty clear that Jake Retzloff is going to start or Brendan Sullivan. either one of them like will do, but I do think
The fun thing is, like, I was looking at Caden Samanza to potentially start too.
and yeah, I know I like Samanza a lot, but it's hard for me to say that he'll be the starter over. I won't even say Sullivan over Retzloff after Retzloff had the type of year he had. I fully anticipate Retzloff being the starter week 1, if not week 2, where they break him in. And like, man, it's just crazy how like wild this quarterback room is because Ty Thompson is still there. Like, I feel for the guy, highly recruited guy, and just to watch that.
Ty Thompson, I think they're moving him to tight end now.
Oh, yeah, he did get. I was looking for him in the depth chart of the Phil Steele magazine, and there he is at tight end. So I guess disregard that. But
Good luck finding him when he's at tight end now.
yeah, like what an embarrassment of riches, honestly. So I think the quarterback situation's chaotic in a very good way for Tulane, and I think that'll help because, I mean, with theirs, I think it helps in one way because with the running back position, of course, with the Mekhi Hughes transferring, this is Tulane is we know that Tulane loves to run the ball, and maybe it takes a couple weeks for their run game to get up to Tulane standard, like with Tajay Spears and Mekhi Hughes more recently. Excuse me. Um, but I think it's an embarrassment of riches. I think they have the most talented quarterback room there is, and I mean they're very experienced. Like Tulane has great continuity and some are also very good portal recruiters. So I don't really see anyone unseating Tulane. I mean October 18th versus Army. Like I'm counting that one as a loss because Yeoman's a tough place to play at. And it also helps too. Like the whole 7-1 benchmark helps as well because Tulane doesn't play Navy. So that's going to help them a lot, honestly. And we could see the Memphis game be an eliminator for the conference championship game.
Yeah, that game on looks like it's going to become a Thanksgiving tradition now, I guess. But is it on Thanksgiving this year? Did I get that wrong?
Memphis Navy's on Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay. So they're just rotating Memphis games on Thanksgiving. Okay.
I guess
I
so.
remembered I was thinking about the Memphis part, but I got the Tulane part wrong. But I know they play late in the year. But yeah, the main I mean, this is looking like a John Sumrall defense this year. That's going to be one of the big keys there is that defense is going to be really good. That'll keep them in a lot of games, but there's definitely not an easy on ramp for any one of these quarterbacks. That's for sure because you open this their non-conference schedule. I think I've highlighted the entire non-conference schedule at this point because all of the games are really awesome, but they're all going to be really tough. I mean, you got Northwestern, Duke, South Alabama, and then there's the one more road game I'm missing.
Mississippi.
Mississippi, yes. So like you've got all of that going on in the non-conference. So that's the other thing. Like that's your one risk of them. I feel like the defense will prevent that from happening, but you still have to keep an eye on that because when you go through that brutal schedule again, you never know what the team's mindset's going to be. But I mean, John Summerall's a good coach. I personally have no worries about that. I think they'll be a strong contender in the American again, and they're going to pick off at least one of these Power Four opponents they got. They're definitely going to have that Duke game in mind because it is not their fan base does not keep it a secret that they feel like Mensa was checked out at the end of the year and that's why everything fell apart because Duke tampered with that. So they want revenge on him and on Duke. That's going to be a really interesting game that everyone needs to keep an eye on.
Mentz was checked
Um,
out. I saw him prancing around shirtless before the AAC touting him. I thought he was locked in. I thought Mentz was locked in, prancing around shirtless in the cold of the Hudson River. I thought
Every
he was
time you see a team prance around shirtless, it does not end well. Oh, we're not bothered by the cold, and then man, the game starts and a different story seems to unfold. But let's look at Memphis now. This is a lot more turnover than we're used to seeing from Memphis, but I mean this is still a strong program. Lots of returning on the coaching staff. This is a very steady coaching staff. What do you think about them?
boy, so this is my time to hype up the Brennan Lewis hype train, as always. And I will say, last year Brennan Lewis looked very comfortable, played well against some great competition, played well against Boise State. Played well, of course, against Oregon State in that great upset they had. Completed 68% of his passes, which honestly I think Lewis had probably one of the biggest, I guess, year-to-year leaps I've seen any quarterback make, because 2023's Nevada's offense was not good at all. I mean, I think they averaged like somewhere around like 100 passing yards per game, if that, if anything. Around the bottom of the
I
pack.
don't remember a more lost offense than the 2023 Nevada offense.
I didn't know what was going on. Like I saw them line up in pistol a few times. I'm like, I don't know if like I don't know if they're trying to bring back the Chris Alt days, or I really didn't know what they were doing. But I mean, Lewis looked comfortable last year, and I think he can quarterback this system. Honestly, I mean they have a bunch of pieces, but also too it's like will the defense, like I guess, will the portal additions for Memphis's defense come through? Honestly, I guess one transfer that I have for them to watch is Cam Burden, who had 63 tackles at his previous destination. So I just think that's the main thing. I think as well, like for their schedule, like they have the toughest draw, one of the toughest draws in the league. They got Navy, they got USF, they got not UAB, excuse me, Navy, USF, and Tulane, wrong, former Conference USA school. Um, but I think if Memphis avoids an embarrassing loss like they had with UTSA last year, I think they'll make the title game. Honestly, like we said earlier, um, the Tulane game might be an eliminator. The Navy game might be an eliminator too if Memphis loses the Tulane game, but it might be an eliminator for Navy as well. So I think Memphis should have a really strong year. I'm excited to see what Lewis does in an actually wide open system. And I guess it's kind of good that they have kind of a fresh restart, because Seth Hennigan was great, but in the portal era you want chemistry and everything. So um, I guess it's good. I guess it's kind of like a fresh reset at the quarterback position, replacing one longtime starter with, if you want to call it, a 1 year rental. You know, I guess kind of win now mode since the trade deadline's passed in MLB.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is the interesting quirk. You mentioned their schedule. Um, they have the home game against Arkansas, which is a very cool regional game. But you look at that, and if they can get past that one, they it's not super easy. There's a lot of tripping points, but they seem to have a pretty clear path to 7-0, and then they hit the meat of the schedule right at the end. Like they face it's going to be really interesting because they face all of the tough teams, like all the best teams on their conference schedule, all at the end. So there's a good thing in that because you've got a lot of time for Brendan Lewis to get going and have confidence running the offense. Which, by the way, like how about the comeuppance, is that a word? Comeuppance of these like former 2022 Colorado quarterbacks. Like Brendan Lewis was there, Owen McCown was there. They both had they both struggled through a pretty challenging season there at Colorado, and they kind of both ended up finding their way home here in the American.
Yeah, it's interesting. Really, I didn't think about that. For me, I was sold on Brendan Lewis with that near upset against Texas A&M back in 2021. I'm like, this guy's gonna be a
Oh
dude
my
someday. I don't know when, but he's gonna be a dude someday.
man, that one. Oh, that one was like the first time I think that Colorado really hurt me because obviously, like when I started rooting them was 2019 when my friend started working there. So like 2021, that game against Texas A&M, I think it was like the first time it really hurt was that Texas A&M game. They almost had it done, and then just let it slip away right at the end. But yeah, so we'll pivot on this former Colorado quarterback thing to Owen McCown and the UTSA Roadrunners. This looks like a team on the rise. I'll let you take it away, but
So for me, I'm kind of in the same boat with UTSA as I am with like East Carolina. Like we know that UTSA has a great program. We know that Jeff Traylor is an amazing coach. I just think that there's just so much turnover on defense that it's going to take a little bit for them to kind of get going, get moving. Kind of like last year too. It doesn't help that they have Texas State, right? Texas State with all the, another program on the rise, but also with the Colorado State is a game I feel like we are overlooking as well, where I know it's not even conference play, but I think UTSA can get to a slow start before conference play. Again, the same thing with Memphis, where it's like, will the pieces mesh in time before, like when they start conference play? And thankfully, they do have Temple, to start off conference play, but they only have two returning starters on defense. It's a revolving door right now, but they do avoid Memphis. They avoid Memphis, which is a good thing, but yet they still have Tulane and Army on Black Friday with 4 days. Let's see, Saturday, I guess 5 days, 5 days to prepare for the triple option on Black Friday. It is at home, and while UTSA has lost 3 games at home since 2019, two of those losses have come to Army. So I always joke
Ooh.
around and I call like I'm not nasty with any fan base, but I know it starts to get kind of nasty with UTSA and Army fans. It started getting nasty last year, especially when Coach Monken shoved a player's face mask into the ground last year. Kind of questionable. But I've been on. I mean, this might be my first time on the record calling the Alamo Dome Mikey Stadium South. Maybe I jinxed Army, maybe I didn't. But until further notice, the Alamo Dome, we're 3-0 in the Alamo Dome. The Alamo Dome is Mikey Stadium South. I mean, and it's close to one of the biggest Army bases in America. So, I guess rambling aside, the offense looks great. Plenty of great pieces on offense. Oscar Cardenas is going to be, a huge player they're going to miss. But again, like with Memphis and with like a lot of portal teams, I hate sounding like a broken record, but like, will the pieces mesh? Like there's few teams that really have, great continuity, but will the pieces mesh in time? And I'm not sure if they will.
Yeah, yeah. This is a team I'm actually kind of high on. I think last year we kind of dealt with the situation where they weren't just resetting a defense, they were resetting an offense as well. Obviously with the legendary Frank Harris gone after, 7 years. So they had to replace him. And I think it took both sides of the ball a lot of time. At least this year they have the offense together. I'm really high on this team. I like in the conference slate that they at least get a lot of the. Now, obviously, you mentioned that Army has a great record against them at home, but I do like that they get Tulane at home, Army at home, East Carolina at home. I think those are the key swing games they get at home, and they're, that one risk though is very true. The non-conference schedule is really tough with Texas A&M, and then you got those regional rivalry games there with not just Texas State, but Incarnate Word is a really good FCS team, top five potentially, I think in the preseason rankings. Very good offense, and that game is an inner city game. Like technically, Incarnate Word is closer to the Alamo Dome than UTSA is. So like that game is going to be a really interesting inner city one, and then you kind of have like that Colorado State game is like the perfect trap game because they've come off of all these tough in-state non-conference games, and Colorado State's coming off a bye, so that will be a very interesting one. But still, I trust in Jeff Traylor. I think this just feels like the year they finally like break through into like being a conference title contender. Um, so that brings us to the last of our championship contenders, one of your favorite team to talk about, I'm sure, Navy. So Navy kind of enters the season as the favorite. How are you feeling about their chances?
First off, I mean, you'll know if I'm a fan and if I'm a homer, right? When I'm coming at things with the homer, I'm gonna come, of course, with the Navy as as a perspective of someone like analyzing the midshipman, and I think they have amazing continuity on offense. They have 8 returning starters. It's just crazy how in the first year of Drew Cronick's Millennial Wing T, they were able to put up the numbers that they had. And this is debatably a team that should have had one conference loss, or should have had no conference losses heading into the Army game because of what happened with Blake Horvath. Even though Braxton Woodson came into his own against East Carolina. So I'm excited to see what they do in year two. And it's funny because overnight it kind of became cool to like service academies in the transfer portal era. And this is something that I have about the fakeness of the college football media because everyone's so quick to write off the service academies as, the transfer portal has ruined the academies. The cut blocking rule has ruined the academies. But now we're at the point, and I'm not saying this because Blake Horvath is getting the attention, getting on the covers of Phil Steele magazines, even though I wasn't lucky enough to I wasn't in the region for that cover, but I got mine. But it became cool, for Blake Horvath to be on all these preseason lists, for Navy to play on prime time in NBC for the first time ever. For Notre Dame, Navy's been on NBC since 1990. Let's see if I'm doing my math right. Since 1991. right? That's 34 years. This is the first time a game's been on prime time on NBC. I'm just gonna say that it became cool sometime at some point to like the service academies in the portal era, which I'm not complaining about, but I just want to call out the college football media. Though that if Horvat stays injury free, that we're looking at almost like Army last year. I mean, I wouldn't say it's identical, but their toughest test will be the Notre Dame game for up until November 8th. Maybe North Texas, but Navy. I mean, in 2023, Navy was able to beat an explosive North Texas team with the kind of boring, stodgy scheme that they ran in 2023, where the scheme that kind of lacked direction. They were able to beat an explosive North Texas team then. I don't really doubt that they'll be able to handle them with a fully healthy Blake Horvath, with a fully healthy Eli Heidenreich, which I will say on the record, verbally, I put it down in print, but Heidenreich is the most talented, naturally gifted receiver since Phil McConkey. If you don't know Phil McConkey, look him up. Giants fans know, which I guess a short story. I got to share a short story. Which I mentioned. I asked about Phil McConkey when I was covering Notre Dame Navy to the lady serving food at the press box, and her eyes just lit up. I guess Giants fans love McConkey. It's a great story. But I think I'm looking at a Notre Dame team. I'm looking at Navy. I think honestly the Memphis game might be more an eliminator for Memphis than it is for Navy, because Memphis might have the one loss against Tulane, and that might eliminate Memphis. But if anything, we might be looking at the awkward situation like we had in 2019, which you would know being in Cincinnati, where you have Cincinnati and Memphis essentially playing for who's hosting the conference championship game. So I think the schedule is very favorable for Navy this year. There aren't many tests in conference. Air Force, which I guess we'll talk about, in another podcast that may or may not be recorded right after this one. Air Force just lost their quarterback, so that's gonna hurt them in a very emotionally charged game, in a game that's usually balanced. So I'm really high on Navy, and especially too like on defense. Like you always talk about size on defense. Like I guess I'll just close talking about Landon Robinson. Like Landon Robinson's the real deal because he's able to, you know, take his just with technique and with speed, make up for those size disadvantages that Service Academy linemen have, and just be an amazing player, an amazing disruptor. So, I mean, it's not just on offense with Navy. Navy looks really good. Navy looks really good. I do think that they're going to lose to Notre Dame in South Bend. I hope it doesn't happen because I think it's good for college football when the service academies beat Notre Dame. I just think that I think that Navy is poised for the conference championship game. Yeah, honestly, I'm not against the hype. Honestly, I think it's well placed by the national media.
Yeah, it's really impressive. Like Navy has some really special athletes that we haven't really seen at a lot of the academies in a while. Like those three players you mentioned are going to be a huge piece for them. Like, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Like they are truly a special team this year. I think going back to what you said about like the media kind of getting on the back of Navy here at the academy thing, like I think that's kind of like their little regret about like how they keep seemingly pushing this like new college football. But like the service academies, I think a lot of people are falling in love with now because, and I mentioned this in my state of the program thing. For each one of them, I opened it up with mentioning that the academies really mark the epitome of what college football was. These are still true student athletes. And I think even more than that, it's pretty special to see these teams play because like this playing football is like the easiest thing these kids will do on a given day. And so seeing a strong academy team like this, like Navy this year, is just so great to see. And I'm rooting for them to reach the college football playoff. It would be incredible to see Navy crash the playoff and make someone like Texas have to figure out defending the option.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like it would be great to see, right? I mean, I don't mind Air Force and Navy making the college football playoff because like they're not my program. I like bowl games. Maybe I'm psychotic. I like bowl games. But if they did that, yeah, that's just great for academy football. Like things and like people look at. I think service academy football makes you look at the other things related to the game, where it's like the end all be all isn't the college football playoff, right? There's still time to sit back and enjoy moments like Army winning a game against Tulane on ABC on a Friday night, which little tidbit, like that was the first ABC game, I guess ABC game not involving involving both service academies at Mikey Stadium since 1972, when Nebraska came
Wow.
to when Nebraska came to West Point in '72. Which don't look up the result of that game. It may or may not have ended in a 77-7 loss for Army. Don't confirm that. Don't confirm that, you Justin, or anyone watching. But just it's okay to enjoy moments like that. It's okay to enjoy the fact that Army and Navy get to play Notre Dame in prime time on NBC. They get to take a TV spot from a Big Ten team. It's okay to enjoy stuff like that. Not everything's about the playoff. And I think the service academies with this recent upsurge are making people kind of realize that. It's okay to enjoy a guy like Blake Horvath, coming up with an iconic nickname for a touchdown run in the Armed Forces Bowl. 95
Right.
yards in part of the South. Like, it's okay to enjoy stuff like that. So I guess I'll get off my soapbox with the national media, but man, it's just such a great renaissance. Like, I felt like 2018 and 2019 were just mini renaissances. But I guess we can just consider this whole 6-year period with Army and Navy just being a renaissance for Academy football, and Air Force too, because Air Force starting 8-0 in 2023 was great for Academy football. People were paying attention to the Air Force Academy again. So it's just a great time. And I think honestly, like, I'm not a fire and brimstone Army fan. I think it's great if Navy does well, as long as come December 13th they just lose to Army. I don't care if they make the playoff. I don't.
Hey,
I
guess what? They're already in the playoff at that point too.
I don't care. I would just love to see that happen. After the trash talk's been nasty this offseason.
That would be such a fantastic scenario of Navy's already in the college football playoff, and then the Army upsets them. It would just be just oh, that would be so amazing. Now I know my dad is a Navy guy. If he catches this, will not like that, but but still, that would be such a funny scenario just for the whole sport. It really would throw everything, overboard a little bit. I guess that gets us to this. This is probably the longest section I've had yet in the series because there's just that many championship contenders. But we jump to our next section here on the tier list. And really, this was just one that kind of stuck out as like a unique one because you'll see what the next one is there. But UAB is the only one that's not a clear championship contender that is also now with a new head coach. So what do you think about the Blazers this year?
I'm sorry because I'm in a group chat with a bunch of Birmingham Stallions fans. So I don't have anything against UAB. And this might become a viral clip. Like, this might become a cold take and everything. But I just don't know if there's much to be excited about UAB this year. I mean, Jalen Kitna was great throwing the ball last year, but you look at some of his best performances. The Army game, completed 25 passes. Like, they were playing from behind in that game. I just don't know if there's much to get excited about, especially like when in retrospect, letting Brian Vincent walk is becoming one of the more regrettable decisions in recent college football memory, because not only did you like let go of a really good coach, you let go of, like, honestly someone that, like, a really good person. Like, we saw that, like, he just took on the AD position at ULM. Like, this man is, of course he's busy. He's like head coach in the transfer portal era, but now he's an AD. Like, this is a man that would have given his blood, sweat, and tears for the program. I mean, I just don't know. Like, I want UAB to do well. I don't want the program to be put in a worse spot, but um, I just don't know if there's much to be excited about, especially like looking at the non-conference schedule. I mean, Tennessee is tough. UConn is definitely tough, especially when they got that game in stores in November too. So that's 2 losses. It looks like non-conference play. There are a good amount of swing games though. Like, Akron looks like a win. FAU is a swing game. Rice is a swing game. Tulsa is a swing game, so that's 4 along with Alabama State. So maybe they can string together a few wins. But I just think with only 4 returning starters, Lee Beebe was amazing last year at running back at times. But the problem with having a running back like Lee Beebe is, especially like in the Army game, like, they got behind too quickly that they couldn't use Lee Beebe all that much. Lee Beebe Jr. all that much, excuse me. So, um, yeah, I hope UAB. I hope I'm proven wrong. I don't like speaking ill of teams, but I just don't really see much to be excited about UAB this year.
It's been tough sledding to say the least under Trent Dilfer, and I know some UAB fans have made their feelings clear about him. Obviously, you can't say this is not Alabama when Alabama has in the past actively tried to kill this program.
Imagine that.
Um, yeah,
What he said.
yeah, that was a rough moment, but this I think he knows this is the year that they really need to get stuff done. They were pretty aggressive in the portal, and obviously, the portal's a very heavy theme in this conference. But we'll see how those go. I think they made a new hire at defensive coordinator that's kind of someone who's going to have a better idea how to run that side of the ball. It kind of felt like the previous defensive coordinator just was, probably had a little bit more learning to do. Was a little bit over his head a little bit. So there's like the reasons for optimism, I guess. But again, like, you look at the schedule, there's not a whole lot of opportunities there. But maybe, like you said, maybe string together some of those swing games. And then, like maybe you get a game like the Battle for the Bones against Memphis. Battle for the Bones mentioned. Um, you get a game like that, a rivalry game that you can just wipe the slate clean. This is a one game series here. Maybe they pull an upset there and get to 6 wins.
Yeah, well, I will say this. I forgot about the Battle of the Bones, and I mean, maybe this will be a clip that you use to promote this. I don't mean that in a snarky way, but if I mean I know people have been making bold bets to shove things in in certain areas if teams win stuff. I will not be doing that. But if UAB wins the Battle of Bones, I will come on your podcast or on my own podcast. I'll come on your podcast and sing the Chili's Baby Back Ribs song. I guess if that's
We've done this. We've done that in this show before. I'm pretty sure Matt and I have actually done this.
if
Oh, you may have
if if you
to. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We'll join you.
No, I will do that. That's how confident I am. I will not do anything bold. Like I always mock that trend too. I think I said like last year, like if Chicago State wins the NEC, then I will enjoy a nice frozen Chicago style pizza out of the oven. I'm
Gino's
not. I
East, baby. Oh man, yeah, that song. I don't know how many years he would have to dive back. Definitely before anyone like actually watched this podcast. That I'm pretty sure Matt and I did that once. But we will do that with you. We will do that with you if UAB wins the battle for the bones.
That's how confident I am. I'm willing to. I'm willing to. Put myself out there like that. But I just don't. I guess on a more serious note, like I just don't really. I think this they need a fresh reset. The administration needs to get serious. They need to get their. They need to. Get their head out of their fifth point of contact. For lack of a better term, and choose a coach that will actually do something for this program. Honestly, you know, none of this unqualified coach junk, but someone that can succeed at this program. I mean, or succeed
Yeah,
in the region at least.
yeah, because like this, it was really awesome seeing what was going on with this program when they brought it back. Like they came back and instantly started contending for Conference USA championships, winning conference championships, and they were so good. And obviously there's still like a slight reset in Vincent's interim year, but that's an interim year, and still winning a Bahamas Bowl in your interim year is pretty good still, especially for this program that hadn't seen much success before the program got resurrected. So it was so much fun to see how good they were. And then they were joining the American. It was like, man, this thing's really going. And then it just feels like that momentum just hit a halt. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe this is the year that Trent Dilfer figures it out. But I'm hoping either that happens or they get a fresh reset. I want to see UAB football be good again.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
And now mentioning fresh reset, we are in the fresh reset section here. Um, I mean, I'll say up front here, all five of these teams, I am really excited for the coach for all of them. Like, I think they all made a fantastic hire, and I'm very excited for the future of them. So diving in here, which one's the first one that sticks out to you as a team that could really end up rising up and surprising this year?
Rice. Honestly, I will sing the praises of Rice all day long because they're running the option again. And I think Rice recognizes what they are, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Like with the Mike Bloomgren tenure, it started off where Rice was like, okay, we should be Stanford 2.0. We should be Stanford 2.0. We're running the ball down teams' throats. We're running three man backfields. I mean, we're doing that stuff, and they did that for a while before 2023 when JT Daniels almost led the country in passing before getting hurt to end the season. And now like Rice hired a guy, sometimes like they say the old cliche, sometimes the best way to move forward is to go back. And they're going back in a way and running this option offense. And I know we were talking beforehand about who's going to quarterback this offense, whether the guys that they have are equipped, and that's okay, honestly. With option offense, like with Davidson's scheme, with Scott Abell's scheme, like they didn't really have the most mobile quarterbacks. I want to say that their quarterbacks average less than 4 yards per carry. To be honest with you, I mean, I can be fact checked on that, but they weren't blowing anyone away. But I think you just need a good decision maker. You need someone that can keep them on their toes, and it's not like having a bad passer is a thing with this offense, as it is, or an unpolished passer, I should say, as it is with the service academy, especially like with Army or Air Force. Like you have guys that were recruited to run, a pro style scheme. You have Drew DeVilliers, who started last year in the UConn game. You have Chase Jenkins as well, who's recruited in last year's system. It's just a matter of them making good option decisions. Breaking down the scheme, looking at the depth chart, I do think it's kind of an interesting choice, if you will. Their backs are a bit small if you're running the option, especially Quentin Jackson, 5'7", 160. Like, you typically want a bigger back to be your dive back, be that guy, but maybe he slips between the tackles. So that's an interesting personnel thing. I'm nerding out more about Rice because I just love the option offense, and I love what Abell did at Davidson. I think they dropped 98 points against Guilford. I think it was like
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that many years ago. Yeah, that was crazy. Like, and keep going. This is incredible content about Rice. I am very excited about this offense too.
And I think too, it's like some like looking at a team that did something similar, and I hope they stay with it because Tulane tried doing something similar, of course, in this same conference where they tried to take Willie Fritz's Georgia Southern scheme and take it to Tulane, and they were on an upward trajectory really until about 2018 when they made the Cure Bowl and like they started throwing the ball more. They had Justin McMillan, really good quarterback, really a guy that honestly people forgot about. He was outstanding in
Yeah.
2018 and 2019. Until he came along, was more of a passer, and so they kind of went to more of a conventional spread. But you could see that Tulane was finding their balance. I really hope Rice sticks with it, and I think that they will because, they gave Bloomgren a lot of time to, to figure things out before they cut him loose, and I think they'll give Abell a lot of time where they'll let him recruit a quarterback who's a better runner, who's maybe played in a system similar to this in high school. So I mean, I think Rice can pull some off. Rice is the most intriguing out of the exciting new coaches.
Yeah, yeah, and I do not envy Louisiana being the first ones to have to go against this offense. They're breaking in some new pieces, and then hello, here's this thing. So good luck with that. But man, I am very excited for this Rice team. This team's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Since you broke that down so well, I'll jump to FAU. I like their offense a lot. Like Caden Veldkamp was a huge pickup. Messer, going to be his top receiver. These guys are just going to throw the ball all over the field this year. I don't know what it's going to lead to in wins because our defense is, um, to say it kindly, a big question mark. We don't know what they're going to have back there, but at the very least, like FAU football is going to be a lot of fun because they're just going to throw the ball all over the yard and just see what they end up with. Um, I wouldn't surprise me if they came out swinging and upset Maryland, but at the same time, we could see them go down guns a blazing some games if they end up having a rough start and fall behind early. But that's going to be a fun team for me.
It will. And I will say it's great that they have a coach more focused on winning games and getting the Costco guys to run out on the field with them. I mean, that's all I'm gonna say about that. I don't. I mean, I shouldn't diss FAU. They were really nice to me at the tailgate when we went to see Army FAU. They're really nice to us. So I got nothing against their fans. I just got to get a joke off. But I agree honestly, and that's the thing. It's like this might be What North Texas was the last 2 years. A team that's really fun to watch, but just can't stop anyone. Caden Beltcamp, that's a really great addition, honestly. With all the portal movement, I lost track that he had went to just for UConn. I mean, we're looking at a team with maybe a 5-7, 6-6 peak. But the trouble is, Beltcamp is a junior, so never mind. So like, if they can build with Beltcamp like this year, like I think in a couple years we'll be looking at FAU being at their Lane Kiffin peak.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know this is a program that can reach that level. And I think it was kind of exciting to see them go that route of like a young up and coming coach because it felt like for a long time, like they just kept trying to find like the big name retread coach. Um, I mean, they've really gone that route so many times. So it was kind of cool to see them go like the young and up and coming route to kind of bring some more excitement to the program. Um, we'll go a little bit closer to you this time. How about Tulsa?
Oh boy, yeah, Tulsa. I see. I mean, I like Tulsa. I like Tulsa in general. It's like their program profile, just being one of the smallest schools in Division One, if not the smallest. So I guess I don't know.
Technically the smallest enrollment, but I think support is increasing there. Their new athletic director's done a pretty good job.
Yeah, I mean Trey Lamb is just a proven winner. Gardner Webb to their first FCS playoff appearance. I believe he won a first round game too with the Running Bulldogs. Then took ETSU to a 7-5 record, a place that's not easy to win in the SoCon with more established programs. So I like Trey Lamb a lot. I'm just not sure if Tulsa is there yet, especially on defense. The defense is a bit iffy, and I do think Kirk Francis is a bit young. Like Francis had some good moments last year, but in other games against elite competition like Army last year, he just didn't look like didn't look ready for big games like that, and I believe he was benched too for Cooper Lega, um, which is crazy that how long Cooper. I mean Cooper. I guess Cooper Lega played 4 years, like generally, but it just felt like he was around forever. But I like Tulsa generally. I mean, I think like FAU, if Kirk Francis chooses to stay, which I think he will, he's a local guy. Um, I think that they'll have something special here, but I just don't think it's this year, especially like the non-conference schedule is kind of tough. I already see two losses off the bat with Oklahoma State and Oregon State, even though Oregon State's a bit more realistic, but they still have Army, they get Navy, and they get Memphis. I mean, they really the American Conference schedule makers were not doing Tulsa any favors this year.
They really did not. Like I feel like they gave them like a lot of the tougher teams. Like for the most part, what I noticed was like a lot of the teams kind of kept a pretty good balance between like four top contenders and four teams that were kind of starting over a little bit. But I didn't see that with Tulsa. It felt like that it was a little bit tougher. I mean, you get a couple games to start, but even those two, like Abilene Christian and New Mexico State, like those are more winnable, but they're also not guaranteed wins. I mean, you cannot. Abilene Christian nearly beat Texas Tech last year. Now I know Matt McIver is going to go and throw for 5,000 yards at Western Kentucky. Um, I Abilene Christian's still not a game that you could just look past and expect to win. That one's going to be a tough one. And man, that Oklahoma State game. I love that in-state game, but facing them 6 days after Navy, oh, that one's gross.
Not good. Yep, not good at all. Not ideal.
We'll let you take your pick here. Charlotte and Temple, two teams that kind of need well, Charlotte just needs the engine kicking in general, and Temple kind of looking for a restart. Both of them hiring experienced, proven winning coaches, though. Which one do you want to take first, and how quickly do you think they can get going?
I think I want to take Temple first. I think Temple has a funny um, non-conference schedule because you can see them kind of build some momentum against UMass and Howard, but then they play Oklahoma at home, but it's really probably going to be a road game because I don't really see Temple fans providing much of a home field advantage in that one, and they got Georgia Tech. I just think it's hard. I think honestly what it'll come down to is how good the line is for Temple because they allowed 37 stacks, like especially the Army game. I keep referencing, I guess, got teams that Army played against last year, but it was pretty telling. Like Evan Simon was a really good quarterback last year. It was had really great moments, but that was if he can keep his jersey clean. Same thing with like Giovanni McCoy. Giovanni McCoy is incredibly skilled, but I mean, the offensive line allowed 37 sacks last year, and there's guys with experience, but there was no one that really had like really great experience. So
Yeah,
I think down to the line.
yeah. I do like the least because last year they could not run the ball in the slightest. I know for a fact they're going to run the ball better this year. That's definitely a guarantee. So I'm looking forward to that for Temple. AC Keeler already seems like he's hitting the recruiting trail really hard, though. Look out, we're probably like another year or two away, but Temple's definitely going to get back to contending in the American. I love that hire a lot. Like, it brings me back to like that 2019 American when we had all that NFL talent around and stuff, and I think we're going to see Temple get back to that level here soon. So Charlotte wraps us up here. Tim Albin wins the MAC championship, and Charlotte manages to hire him. So brings just instant credibility to this program. And in general, like Charlotte's had to really take some chances on weird coaching hires in the past. So now we get to see them finally just, hire a legitimate good coach that we know can win ball games. Um, what do you think about them this year?
I think Charlotte's interesting. Like Albin's good, but if you remember with him at Ohio, like it took a little bit time to get the wheels kind of rolling there for the Bobcats. Like 2021 was rough. They actually lost to Duquesne. I know it sounds
Yeah,
funny. I love the NEC. I love the Northeast Conference. Shout out NEC Blitz. Amazing account to follow. Really the only guy providing extensive NEC coverage on that league. But I like they had a slow start in 2021, but they really got the pieces going. I just don't know if I can buy into Charlotte just yet. I mean, they are rebuilding, especially on offense. Offense is a brutal rebuild, two returning starters, and the offense. I just don't think they ever got in a rhythm last year. They tried so many quarterbacks, it seemed like, and one would have a good game, the other one would be off. And so I think the schedule, there are a few swing games. I just don't think there's enough for them to really break into bowl eligibility. But I do think that this athletic regime, needs to commit to a coach because I don't think Biff Poggi got a fair shot. Honestly, like 2 years is not enough to build a program. I don't care if it's the portal era. Like you need to build a culture. 2 years is not enough to build a culture. Honestly.
yeah,
Um, so, yeah, I'm not sold on Charlotte this year. I will say though that I think it'll be telling to see how the North Carolina game is. I think it'll be telling to see the state of the program, not just on the field but off the field. If the stadium is mostly filled in Carolina blue, I think that'll tell you all you need to know about the state of Charlotte's donors, the state of Charlotte, how Charlotte's running as a program. So it'll be interesting to see that one.
yeah. And I mean, even the opener against Appalachian State is kind of a similar regard there. In the same city, but obviously a neutral site. There's a few quirks that might help Charlotte along the way here because they don't leave the area. I don't think they leave the state until October. And then also three Friday night home games where the opposing team is a short week. So that's kind of a little quirk that could maybe help them along the way there. But I like the hire. I think they're going to get going. Again, like I said about Temple, I think it's going to take a little bit.
I think so too. But I mean, I love the Albin hire honestly, and I really feel like Tim Albin might have been the first warning sign about this kind of panic that the Mac's having in terms of their standing as a conference. In retrospect, of course, no one would have predicted Northern Illinois joining the Mountain West and then Ohio themselves talking to the Sun Belt. But in retrospect, it's kind of scary how you know it all shook down.
Yeah, it was very surprising to me as a Maction guy, but yeah, we'll see. I was there. I think it's kind of hard because these American programs definitely have a lot of resources at their disposal. So even if it's a program that's not a proven winner yet, by like Charlotte, I think you kind of saw Alvin kind of hit his breaking point a little bit, where every year he kind of had to figure out the roster again because they kept losing guys in the spring.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing too. Like Charlotte had huge turnover last year in the portal, so um, I think it's hard. I think it works both ways. Where it's like I think you want to have depth, and Albin is someone that benefited a lot from depth at Ohio last year because 2023 was essentially the audition for okay, if you want to start for Ohio in 2024 or the 2023 Myrtle Beach Bowl. I should complete the sentence. It was essentially an audition. Like Parker Navarro had an amazing game. I mean, I forget who the running back was, but he had an amazing game as well. I think he
Ricky
ran.
Hunt Jr. now.
Yes, Ricky Hunt
Yeah,
Jr. Yeah, Ricky Hunt Jr. had an amazing game. I mean, of course, he left Ohio eventually, but I think that's the thing. Is like I think Albin is good, with having depth within his program, but of course, it takes years, a couple years, to build that depth. To like have guys in your system, and have guys buy in. That's more important. But you can have guys take their lumps, but are they going to buy in and ride the pine until it's their time to shine?
absolutely. Absolutely. So that gets us to our conference championship picks. Who are you predicting to make the championship and who do you see winning?
So I have Navy playing Tulane in the conference championship game, and I have Navy winning the conference championship. Honestly, and maybe this is me biased as a Service Academy fan, but Navy's path is very, very smooth. Excuse me, and I think it's gonna come down. I think the breaking point is gonna come down to. I gotta check. I think that Memphis plays Navy. Oh, Memphis has Navy on a bye week. Excuse me, but yeah, I think it's gonna be Tulane versus Navy. I would have said before Jake Retzloff came to Tulane, I would have said Memphis versus Navy in a rematch, but I just think Retzloff is just so talented and, I mean, puts Tulane almost on 2023 levels offensively. Not, yeah, 2022 levels, excuse me, offensively, where I just don't see Memphis beating them head to head.
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit different than you. I've got Navy versus UTSA. I think UTSA
Oh,
pulls off the upset. They get past Tulane. Tulane is just on the outside. So is Memphis. Um, but yeah, I see UTSA making it. I do think Navy beats UTSA. So I'll also have Navy winning the American championship and maybe making a college football playoff.
I think they'll get rewarded with a nice vacation to Annapolis, Maryland.
Yeah,
Because I don't mean that derogatory, like in a derogatory fashion. I just think that the Military Bowl, like if Boise State makes a playoff, like I think they will, honestly, because um, I don't know how the committee is going to perceive the American this year. I'm inclined to think that if Boise State loses a close game, it's going to come down to the Notre Dame game. I think that Boise State will lose by less points to Notre Dame than Navy will. And so I think that's going to be the breaking point with both teams being 11-1, 12-1, or whatever. And I think that the Military Bowl, which has not had Navy play in in the bowl game since 2017, they haven't had Navy play a Power Four team at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. A little bit of a tongue twister for me. Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium since the 27 Military Bowl. I think that it's just gonna be too good for them to pass up, and Navy will play. We'll have a nice sellout at the Military Bowl against a really good regional opponent. I say Syracuse. I don't know if I have that in my bowl projections. I think I do have Navy playing. In fact, I think I have Navy playing North Carolina just because of the Bill Belichick connection. I think we both know that
ooh, that would be great.
they're about storylines and they're about money, and that's gonna bring both. That's gonna make people really care about the Military Bowl, and that's gonna create so much interest that I guess instead of going to the playoff, that's of course if they're not ranked higher than Boise State, they'll be spending the holidays at home in a good way.
Yeah, that'll be a pretty cool matchup. I think it really goes down to how does the American do in some of these non-conference games. Following either one of our scenarios here, like does Tulane handle their home Power Four opponents? That's going to be a huge key for how the Americans proceed. Maybe they get some help, like you get East Carolina maybe pulling it up. So maybe you even get a favor from South Florida against Boise State. It'll be kind of that kind of interesting thing to kind of see how it goes there in terms of the playoff spot.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm interested to see honestly, but man, I just I mean I just in terms of like the playoff too, I just think it's just sad. I guess I care less about the playoff from a group of five perspective because of what they did with the seeding now, how it's straight seeding. Where
Yeah,
yeah, it's the Boise State rule. Like bottom line up front, it's the Boise State rule. So even if Navy runs the table and beats Notre Dame and has a carbon copy of Cincinnati's 2021 season, where Cincinnati reached number 2 in the AP poll and was the 4 seed in the playoff, like they're still gonna get pegged as the 12 seed probably because everyone's gonna just do mental gymnastics with Navy and with their schedule and in their resume. So I'm just even more discouraged as a Group 5 fan with the playoff.
Yeah, it really was disappointing to see them do that and just overreact pretty much to 1 year. Which seems to be what college football's leadership loves to do these days is overreact to things. Um, yeah, so that definitely was disappointing and discouraging. Maybe we get lucky. I mean, Boise State probably would have been right around that brink of like 8 or 9. So maybe we get lucky. Maybe if Navy does go on a really good run, maybe they can end up in that 8th spot and get to host someone. But it would be pretty cool to see an SEC team have to make the trek up to Annapolis in December. So there's kind of like the bright side of what we could see, but we'll see. We know they love to play mental gymnastics with all sorts of things. So,
Exactly.
um, yeah, kind of ending on a disappointing note there, but um, Omar, where can people find you?
Shoot. So I guess a variety of places. Just starting off with Redshirt Sports .xyz being the main site where most of our work is. Going to be releasing now on Redshirt Sports. Going to be releasing not only my FCS poll but a weekly Lambert Trophy poll. Going to be talking about that next week with Bobby the TNT College Football Podcast as the Lambert Trophy is back after 2024, and I'm so blessed thanks to NEC Blitz for allowing me to be part of the Lambert Trophy. So voting this year, and you can also find me on Hustle Belt covering UMass football this year. I'm excited for UMass to be back in the MAC. I'm just excited for that program in general because it's been a long time coming. I mean, for them to have a conference and to not overload the Power 4 teams. So you can find me there. And of course, you can find me and Jackson Danner this year on the Hardware Podcast, just talking about the Heisman Trophy race and other positional races, as well as the Walter Payton Buck Buchanan Award races, and also some HBCU players. Hopefully, spreading the good message about some HBCU players that deserve to be in All-Star games and deserve to be in those Walter Payton and Buck Buchanan races on our podcast weekly.
Very cool, very cool. Definitely make sure you check them out. And of course, make sure you check us out at Updog Sports Talk. We are on Twitter, very busy on Twitter, obviously, and we're also on Instagram, Facebook, and all those other different platforms. Obviously, you can find us here on YouTube and also on Spotify or wherever else you get your podcasts. So be sure to give both programs a follow. You'll be very glad you did. Really get you a good look at college football from all levels. Have a great night, everyone.